very good morning and welcome to Daybreak Africa on KAFTAN television. Don't forget, this is the show where we talk about trendy issues of Nigeria, propose solutions, talk about entertainment and every other things you like to listen. My name is Glory Emmanuel.
And my name is Ikhonede Joshua Deji. You're welcome once again to Daybreak Africa this very beautiful morning. Glory, good morning. All right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, it's still Daybreak Africa, and yes, we are on to our discussions for today. Today we'll be looking at something quite of sensitive in the Nigerian polity today. We'll be looking at a means of diagnosing some of the problems in Nigeria as a society. Looking at the fact that the country is not anywhere close to the kind of shape or the kind of image it wants, both in the international community and even within ourselves as a nation. And it's left to ask ourselves a question. What's wrong actually with Nigeria's socio-political space, especially the current decline that we're experiencing as diagnosed by many of the elites in the society, especially last week when we saw some of the videos from a program where former presidential aspirant Adewale Adebayo spoke, and they talked about the fact that there is a big decline in our socio-political system. And we'll be looking at what is the major problem with our socio-political system. In the place of the decline, who should we blame? Should we blame the government or should we blame the people themselves within the country? And to discuss with us today, we have a political enthusiast who will be joining us online today in the person of Oyelaran Promise. Welcome to the show, Promise.
Welcome to the show, Promise.
Thank you for having me, Joshua and Glory.
Yeah, it's nice having you actually. So let's delve deep straight to the discussions for today, Promise. Nigeria's socio-political system and the fact that as we speak in the nation, we are not at where we intend to be. And it's left to ask, we used to have a very strong system. You know, Nigeria used to be one of the most diplomatic, most political body in Africa, talking about how we gained independence from 1960 till date, and how we have been able to salvage ourselves through from the military rule menace till the time where we're having a more stable democracy. But still, we are not achieving our goals as a nation. So, our socio-political system, what do you think is the main problem with this system as a whole?
Okay, so this is a very, very important discourse, and I feel there are a lot of things to be discussed when we're talking about Nigerian socio-political decay. It's a complex issue with multiple factors and various stakeholders involved. And if we're looking at those people involved, definitely it's both the government, that is the officials, the representative that we have in various spheres of government, and including the people also who are the people. They are the citizens that these people here. And so we are both to be blamed if we're going to talk about that. Very quickly, I would like to just dip into some of the that of the people as it might be.
Okay.
For the government, I feel we all know what the big issue is. We have corruption as a bedrock of the governance in Nigeria. It's become so full blown that even it's right in our face. It's not something that is hidden. We have ineffective governance also to mention, which is, let's look at the policies in place. How many of them are actually properly implemented and executed? We have lack of accountability, which is also a result of the corruption we have in the country. And the inadequate public. If you look at the people, are they actually the best of the best? That's another topic for us.
Yeah, true.
Our ethnic and regional figure. So the people from his ethnic divide tend to or are of the opinion that he should be supported even when he's not doing the right thing. And we also know how the security of this country has failed. If an insurgency is lasting than a whole day, then definitely there
are officials involved.
Then when we want to look at the people's role in all this, we look at the tribalism and the one thing that we should know is actually unity should our strength should be the diversity if there is a unity in diversity. But at the long run, when you look at the borderlines of issues of Nigeria, we find it difficult to align and meet at the center point. Everybody has different catchments. For example, in the northern part of Nigeria, what we are facing is different. And also when you come to the southern part
of the nation,
difficult for us to be on the same page. So those are the issues those are issues that are causing this social political
decline.
And also, if we want to look at it, when we talk about the citizenry, how many obligations carry out our obligations as citizens? You see a lot of Nigerians doing business that are not even, talk less of paying tax. They do business evenly and they don't want to do the right thing. Yes, I know when most people will talk, they will say, what is the government doing to them? But I am of this opinion that we're going to change anything in the country. Where is the foundation? The foundation is from the homes of every individual, every Nigerian, where we need to start preaching. Even if the government is corrupt, even if the government is inadequate, as people of the country, we hold it a responsibility to do our duties and carry out our obligations. So that's my take on who is to blame or who is not to be blamed. The blame should be apportioned to both parties, both the governments and also the people as a whole.
So, from your opinion, we've seen that you put the blame, you apportion the blame accordingly to both the government and the people. And many Nigerians complain about bad governance, but refuse to actively participate in politics. Does civil disengagement contribute to this socio-political decline?
Yes, definitely. Disengagement is part of it, because at the long run, when you look at the figures of registered voters before the election, and you look at the total number of votes gathered by maybe the winning person in the election, you see that it's not even representing the majority of the persons. And I feel a lot of persons always point out to the fact that something, or that's why do they need to waste their time going to the polling units, whereas so we need to move to the point whereby we know that all these things are social responsibilities. Yes, disengagement is a big factor, because when we look at it, everybody would have a say about governance, but do not really want to participate in the governance. And participation in governance is not just on the election days. Yes, everybody should come out, cast their votes, and observe their civic duty, which is as an elector. As people or as citizens of the nation, we also know that it is our civic responsibility to do right by the government and also criticize constructively. You see, one thing I've noticed about Nigerians, or let me say we all now are social commentators, everybody wants to point to issues, but how many of us are actually willing to even profile solutions? It's always good to point out issues. When we are pointing out issues, when we are called upon to give solutions,
they have nothing to say.
So those are another thing. So disengagement, yes, is a big part of the social political decay in Nigeria, because a lot of people already feel disenfranchised, disgruntled from past occurrence. You see the Biafra, every other thing that is happening in the nation. Everybody is feeling one kind of incitement or neglect from the government. I feel at the long run, when we're talking about all these issues, we should also know that at the long run, you don't get what you want, but you can at least reach a compromise that is favorable to all parties.
Well, let me ask something. Promise you raised some vital issues there. You talked about the fact that issues that has to do with a bit of tribalism, people feeling disgruntled by the government and all that. Now, I want to ask a question here, because if we are to look at this, Glory was asking about civil disengagement, and in my journey as a journalist, I've gone to many states within the country. during elections,
Okay.
both general elections when it comes to the presidency and gubernatorial elections. I discovered that to a very large extent, people sometimes, even the ones that engage, they sometimes engage by their own bias, based on what they feel the person should be. It should be for my tribe, it should be this kind of person. Do you think Nigeria has poor education? You made a mention of the fact that sometimes the expectations people have from the government and all that's been cut short. You talked about things that has to do with this. Is it that people have a poor education on how the government should run in Nigeria, or especially in the place of the fact that it doesn't have to be your person, but it be someone that can do these certain duties? Do you think it's a problem there?
Yeah. The capable candidates that would deliver whatever. So this is it again. I know in schools we actually do civic education, and where you teach people about different things about social life and social gathering, peer group and all the time, political parties, you teach them. But you see, one thing I want to tell you is most of Nigerians, or most of the citizens, sorry to say, just have residual knowledge about governance. A lot of persons just know that when the government, we vote, we do this. If you start asking some questions, just do an opinion polls now. Ask someone, what kind of legislative structure do we even run in this country? Some persons might not be able to give you these answers. And these are all the things you need to know. You need to know the tiers of government, the arms of government, separation of power. You see, I feel in Nigeria we've given too much accolades to the executive than we should actually have. When I mean accolades, like we're expecting so much from them,
the executive,
forgetting that from the executive, forgetting that there is separation of power. We're running a federal system of government, for example, where we have the federal government, we have the state government, and we have the local government. So when we're looking at all these arms of government, you should also know that in your state, your chief responsibility officer should be your governor. And at the point where we look at all these situations in Nigeria, for example, this current president now, I remember at some point was calling out the governors like, what are you doing in your states? Yes, the citizens need to start asking questions. How many people can even point out to the people that are representing them in the National Assembly, for example?
When they even know their names.
Constituency now. When you go to some constituency now, you ask them, who is the honorable member for your federal constituency? You see, you'll be shocked by the answers you get. And all these things are, you see, all these people are representatives. And if all the arms and the tiers of government are working properly, which also the populace are also a determinant of how all these things are going to be. Imagine what happened in the last election. Okay, we wanted change, so a particular party is what we feel is going to be a change, and we didn't even do our background check on all other contestants on that political party, and we start voting from top to bottom.
So you yourself don't like the top to bottom thing? Or do you think voting by party is more important than voting by top to bottom the same party?
You don't. It doesn't have to be from top to bottom. It should be on credibility. For example, now, if I feel okay, whoever is contesting on this on party A is fit to be the governor, I vote for him. And I see, okay, the person contesting on party A for my senatorial district is not a reputable person that I might adjudge it by my own standard. And I decide, no, I'm not going to vote for this guy on party A. I'm going for party C because I feel, yes, this person is a better candidate. Yes, I feel Nigeria needs to move from partisan politics and politics of emotion to now talk about politics of
reality,
underlining issues, tackling issues. You see, during the election period, I get so pissed off because at the long run, the election period that is supposed to be about campaign is now about attacks here and there.
Yeah, we witnessed 2023 elections especially. attacked from all quarters.
And it's not what it should be. What should be is, when is election period, let us tackle borderline challenges, things that are challenging us as a nation, economic policies. What do you have for us? Let us sit down, round table discussions. Electricity, what is your plan on electricity? And you see, the funniest thing is, I tell people in this country, we've become so gullible that they sell us anything and we feel that yes, this is the best. Whereas what we are even regarding as the best is a makeshift. The person does not even have it doesn't have the technical know-how to run a home, talk less of run a nation.
Well, speaking about political apathy, can you hear me? Okay, speaking about political apathy, especially the youth who have no concerns about knowing the grassroots leaders and the rest, don't you think it's because of they are fed up? They have no more concerns about what the politicians are doing, because they promised this during their manifesto period, during the election period, and when they are elected into office, they end up doing something else. Don't you think that this political apathy amongst youth who are supposed to be leaders of tomorrow are because of the failed promises of the politicians, of the powers that be?
Yeah, I would tend to bend a bit from the angle you're going. I feel one of the things we need to know is, actually, if there is no strength in the votes of the populace, these politicians will not come after 4 years to campaign.
Very true.
So you see, the issue is, yes, we might have gotten tired of all their antics and the failed promises and all the like, but we also need to, you see, I tell people, the turning points of a lot of things would have been the NSAS movement in 2020, but you see, the funniest thing is, you see, we have a lot of zeal to start some things, but we don't complete it. It was a movement, yes, albeit sorry for the lives we lost in those struggles and all the likes, and that should have been the motivating factor that yes, the lives we lost were not going to be in vain,
going waste,
because we need to build on. Yes, to go waste. We have to build on this momentum and be able to hold this set of people to ransom. And how should we have gone about this? It's just about strategizing. It's not about making noise. It's not about castigating. It's not about pointing fingers. It's about doing right for ourselves. And how do we do right for ourselves? We need to see. We need to move past the place whereby we point fingers and we don't do anything, and we wait till the next election to start tackling issues or to start pointing fingers again. No, this person cannot go. This person cannot be government. This person cannot be in government. Sorry. And at the long run, this same set of people. Have you asked yourself? Look at the political space of Nigeria. It's still the same set of people.
Yeah.
We keep recycling. It's like old wine in new bottles.
Yes, very, very correct.
So what are we doing about this? Are there places where we are talking about, let us develop modern leaders that has the knowledge about governance, not just leaders that will just be on social media spaces and be expressing what they feel is right. And most of it are evil jargons. Leaders that know that, okay, this is what the GDP should be like in a nation, that knows what GDP is, per capita income and all the likes, what it means to have bilateral trade, what it means to have foreign policies that are making sense. All these are important things that we need to start looking. What leadership structure do we even put in place? You see the funniest thing, a lot of persons can lead with mouth. If you ask them now, they will tell you, I will do this, I will do that. Yes, it's good to do this and do that, but do you even have the charisma of a leader? You know, there's this question they will ask you for debates. They will say, are leaders born or made?
Yeah, it's a huge question in almost every debate quarter at the time in school.
Yes, in school, are leaders born? Leaders are not born. Leaders are made. You need to learn the art of leadership. You need to learn it. You need to develop traits of leadership, and it's all there. We should be able to see it in you. You see, let me tell you, you are a reflection. Whoever you are, you're a reflection of it in your deeds and actions. So if you're saying this is your deeds and action and we are having questions about it, then you're not fit to be a leader in the first place. But here we are as a nation, we still be like, okay, come 2027, I'm telling you, the set of people that will still contest for election will be majority of the people that came in 2023.
Yeah, you know, we do leadership by rotation in Nigeria. Or let's say, now it's my turn, now it's not yet your turn, and all that within the country. But looking at it, there is a very worrisome matter that we are not all looking at. I think the fact that a bulk of the leaders, or let's say the leaders of tomorrow we have in our generation, are being mentored by this same set of leaders.
That's godfatherism in politics.
Yeah, godfatherism in politics is a very important phenomenon. They are still being, mentored by these particular ones. And we're having a situation where, looking at even the SUG, the NANS, we see this. Yes. There is no much developmental.
They follow the same
footstep, the same pattern. Unlike the SUGs of the 1960s, the 1970s, the 1980s, this set are just more of, if we are not partying, we are just doing something that honestly is not adding much to both the students' body of population and all that. Now, we are looking at a situation where even socially we don't even have a defined idea of what we want our society to be like. Yesteryears we know this respect system, this approach system, and all those kind of things.
The moral system.
A nation where we are having a transition of culture, a modernized ideology, and young leaders being mentored by these same leaders we claim to be corrupt.
Yeah.
How do we salvage this particular thing to go into them?
So you see, let me come from this angle. I know growing up, most of the times what we discuss is how you get an education, you get a job, dignity and labor, work hard and make something out of your life. But this time now, I feel the new order is it's the person with the money that dictates whatever it is, no matter how you're getting the money. So this is my own opinion on mentorship. If someone might mentor you, doesn't mean you pick everything from the person. Because definitely, using mentorship is just about learning to get to a level, or because this person has gotten to a level or a certain level in a sphere or in an industry, and you feel like yes, you can at least pick up one or two things. You see, we need to go back to moral standards in this country, whereby you know that in your house, if you do some things, people, your family will come for you. I still tell people, as I am now, there are some certain amount of money that if I give to my dad, he's going to question it.
Many of us are like that. Till today, my parents still question every damn amount of money I make.
So imagine if each household can be like that and be like, okay, where are you actually making money? But these days, everybody just feel like, if I have the money and I'm okay, that is it. So when we talk about mentorship, if this set of people are not mentoring this new generation, who are the people that are supposed to mentor them? Because at the long run, they say you learn from experience, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I feel let's just look at the United States, for example, and I just want to point out at something. Look at the people that have been presidents
of the United States.
They go through some kind of training. Yes, you hear that before you become president of the United States, there are some things that you need to have. There are some places you might have been to.
Yeah.
And yes, you might not be the best of the best, but throughout that training, you would have been prepared for that role. And you see, I think for everything we're talking as at this point, for all the things we're pointing at to the social political decay as a nation, the biggest thing we need to work on is our systems. Our systems, how are they working? Are they really doing what they should do? From the electoral body to the various MDAs in the country, to the various. You see, when we look at the system, Nigerians is we are the biggest problem of this country because we go to other spaces and we blend in.
Yeah, it's quite shocking. We blend in very well and not within the country.
But when we come back to it, we'll find it difficult because it's become a norm. If you don't shunt, you don't get something done in this country.
Yeah.
Must it always be like that?
It's quite unfortunate. I'm sorry, this segment.
So when it comes to mentorship, so now we need to now pick out, like, okay, if we don't want the young ones to be mentored by this same set of people, then we need to, as youth, get resources together. Minds that okay, these people mean well, not people. You see, at the long run, you see the funniest thing is, you see, when you say you're fighting something, you don't fight it with, two wrongs don't make a right.
Not at all.
So if you're saying you're fighting a wrong and you're also doing it wrongly, you're not different from the person you're fighting.
Very true.
So if you're going to correct the wrong, you must come from a standpoint that, yes, I want to do the right thing. And that's why you see, the mindset is very simple in this country. Once I am okay as a person, as an individual, I don't care.
We are very individualistic people, actually. Once I am okay,
exactly.
I don't care.
I care about myself.
And that is not the way to go. Selflessness. You see, a lot of persons forget that when the community is all, everyone in the community is doing well, it will be a safer place to dwell in. During the last election, there were a lot of conversation on human capital development, infrastructural development. Which one is the major thing?
But I think they are related.
Everything should work. Everything should correlate with each other, because when you're doing human capital development and there's no infrastructure to throw those people that you developed into, where do they function?
Well, we'll look at that, actually, promise. We'll look at that. Just want to take a break, actually. Then after the break, we'll come back straight to our discussions. I think Glory will take us on the break.
Oh, yeah. We are going for Go Stats now, a program that is very important for this Daybreak Africa program. You need this program to know exactly how to restructure yourself in business, how to set up your business if you have not done yet, and how to make money through your social media platforms. Stay here and go nowhere. We'll be back shortly.
All right, welcome back to the show. I hope you're enjoying Go Stat for today. Now it's time to go back to discussions. Yeah, before we went on a short break, before we went on Go Stat, actually, we are discussing on Nigeria's socio-political decline, and who's to blame, the government or the people? And Promise has been bringing us to a lot of, insight into this particular issue as a country. And Promise actually is joining us online, though. Promise, you were saying something. Before we went on a short break, you talked about the arguments, the biggest arguments in the 2023 general elections. We talked about the place of human capital development or infrastructural development, which is most important, and you are linking it up to a very large extent. I think I would like to have a full idea of that from you first before I progress to the question I have as we speak.
Okay, so you see, we're talking about developing people, human capital development. That is, you're investing in people so that they can become better persons for themselves and for the society. Yes, it's a way to go. But I'm saying, if you're going to do human capital development, then then you have to have infrastructures in place too. So imagine if you develop people in tech skills and you don't have any
computers.
You don't have proper you don't have proper infrastructure in the science and technology ministry. There's no policies in place that will make them thrive after you have developed them. Don't you think when you develop those such people, they end up not even using whatever skills they have in your community? They look for other clients that have better infrastructure and prosper there. So if we're talking about infrastructure, we should also be talking about human capital development as who are the people that is going to manage these infrastructures at the long run. So that was what I was actually trying to point also. All these things are things that we need to critically examine and reach a consensus on before we go into another electionary period whereby people will start throwing jabs here and there instead of facing issues that are pressing as a nation.
All right, Promise, let me take you back a bit actually on our discussion. You know, at the beginning of this discourse, you made a statement on the fact that people don't even know their House of Representatives and all that, and we put too much pressure on the executives. Now, let me bring this to, because while we are communicating, I began to look at the structure of the nation itself in the governmental aspect, and I discovered that Nigeria has tiers. We have arms of government. We have the federal government, the local government, the states, the federal, the states, the local. When it comes to the organs, we have the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. And you know that the way it is both in the federal is the same way it is in the state, whereby the state has the legislature, an executive, and the judiciary. Now, we are looking at something here.
Even to the local government.
Even down to the local government. Yeah, we have local governments, we have councillors too as well. We have the magistrates down there. But let's look at it this way. We saw President Muhammad Buhari during his tenure trying to make sure that both the state legislature and the state judiciary are financially independent so they can function well and put some pressure on the state government. It didn't see the light of day actually, because state governors took the president then to courts and made sure that the whole thing did not see the light of day. But under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we've seen at least the local government now has autonomy. And even in the autonomy though, it's causing a bit of clash, because we know many state governors, we are not happy with this move in whatsoever way. And it gave me a matter of shock, because we began to discover that many of the state governors we have today, even many of those that are called local government chairmen, they don't even have definitive duties. They don't know their definitive duties to do. And I discovered that aside from that, the people, whenever anything happens, and it's supposed to be a local government matter, the name on everybody's lips is Tinubu. Tinubu this, Tinubu here, Tinubu there. Now, we don't even know that we have the National Assembly, we have the judiciary, we have the state assemblies there, we have the governors. It's as if the governors are even having a free ride at this particular time, because it seems the only person doing anything about the problem of Nigeria is the federal government. Don't you think the fact that their duties are not well defined to the people is making the federal government, or do you think there is a problem with even the things we call our executive lists, our concurrent lists, and those lists we have at the federal government level shared among the state governors and local governments?
So yeah, it is what it is, Joshua. You see, one thing I would always say is, you know, Nigerians, we have this mindset that this is what our issue is, and don't even want to look inwards to see beyond whatever we might have fixed as the issue. Like you said, the way the government is set up, the way our various system of government is set up, governance is supposed to have gotten to the grassroots more than the way it is right now. And if you notice what it is, let me just say this: the issue is governance is not about party, and that is why you see a lot of compromise being met by both the legislator and the executive arm, because the legislative arm and the executive arm, because at the long run, look at it inward. before any bill or anything is passed, where does it go through? Before the budget is passed,
It goes to the legislative house.
It goes through the legislative chamber. It goes to the house. The president will stand in front of all legislators, both the house of the National Assembly, which is the House of Senate, and the House of Rep. They will sit before both houses and pass and read the budgets. That speaks a whole lot. That is where we should have understood that these people actually have a role to play making this country a better place. Every constituency knows what the challenge of their constituency is.
Yeah.
Are they truly representing their constituency, the National Assembly, or they are representing themselves? Those are questions. Then when you now come to the state governors also that are fighting against local government autonomy, it's simple. A lot of local government is, now this guy he helped me during the election. I need to put him in one local government, at least me himself did it. Let him feel a role. You see a lot of shambolic local government election and you'll be like, how is this happening in this country?
You talked about a lot of shambolic. They don't really have really credible local government elections in the country in the first place.
Yes, that is the issue. And these are even elections that are supposed to be pressing to us as a nation. Because this is the government that is closest to the people. And I always tell people, if there's one reform we personally feel we need to do, is a legislative reform. Because when I say legislative reforms, you see, legislators are not meant to be sitting in Abuja. The only time they are supposed to be in Abuja is during plenary session. And after the plenary session, they need to go back to their constituent and report the status of whatever it was at the plenary session. Not senators fighting about seating arrangement or this or that or nationality.
Too bad. Very bad.
Very terrible.
Those things are appalling and they are shameful, and it's a disgrace on the nation as a whole. These are people that if thank God, I will tell my friends from Kogi that thank God, or from any states, that thank God that it's not my state's senator that is disgracing us on nationality.
Oh, okay. I think I know where you're going actually.
So it is what it is. The nation is undergoing economic crisis and all the likes. We're having political insurgencies. We're having banditry. We're having different issues all around the country. Kidnapping, bad roads. Have you traveled by road on this country? Have you in this country rather?
Yeah.
The state of
very unsafe as we speak.
You know, I took a trip from Lagos to Port Harcourt last year on road, and I could not take a trip back by road.
Wow.
Because it was crazy. The roads terrible. The state of the road, the interlinking roads from state to state, you look at. And do we have government in place in all these places? Most of these roads are not even federal roads.
State roads.
State roads, what are the state governors doing? And you see, most of these states, you hear their revenue from the federal location, you open your mouth.
Yeah, I think it's even times 3 than what they have been collecting for the past few years.
You get this administration, even the previous administration, you know how many bailouts he gave to different states, even when they could not pay salaries.
And we are talking about adding more states in the country.
And you get, we are not talking about, is that the issue of the country?
Misplaced priority, always.
You see, I feel as populace, as citizens, we need to start facing. See, me, for example, I think the first place we need to challenge is the legislative. Because we need to know what they stand for. You know, the legislator has now become a retirement plan for most of our politicians now. Because they feel, one, if they get to the Senate, it doesn't have a stipulated tenure or terms. super you
true.
contest and win, you can continue being in the Senate. Some persons have been in that Senate for 20 years, and that's why some people will be able to be forming seniority also in the House.
I think this crave for relevance actually.
Yes, because everybody wants to be in governance. You not just look at it. I said let's look at the people that have been in political spaces and they're no longer there. Look at the way they now react. People that are not taking criticism when they were in public office are now the one throwing out they are criticizing the current governments because they are no longer
in the system.
And when they were there, did they do anything differently? No, they didn't. But because they are craving for political relevance again, and you see, I tell people to be relevant in political spaces in this country. Do you know the way to get relevance? Is it that you're a troublemaker or you have money to offer?
And the crowd will follow you blindly.
You get blindly. So troublemakers, they will be like, this guy is causing too much trouble for this. Let's draw him near.
So that we will
need to now start talking about politics of ideologies, not politics of this one is from my tribe. This is the religion he is from. Division, you see, divide and rule is something that our political classes have mastered well, and they use it well. Whereas they at the upper echelon, they are not divided. You see them even giving out their children in marriage to each other. Not
to keep the relevance.
This person is from the north or this person is from the south. But let's come to the masses. You see it will be like, even the jihad will be like, don't bring this tribe home, or if you bring anybody from this tribe, we will not accept that, or will not accept him. Division by ethnicity, division by religion divides. We need to come together as a nation and talk about ideologies. Ideologies that will change the and the lot of the country as a whole.
Promise, sorry to cut you there actually. You know, I think we need to even agree on this, Glory. There was a time in Nigeria we used to have leaders like the Azikiwes, the Awolowos, who their ideology was majorly about, in fact, their politics was majorly about ideologies, extreme ideologies. And many of the developments we'll experience in the country today is still out of the ideologies. Some of their students are even the leaders of the country today. And because of the run on ideologies. And you talked about divide and rule. And if you look at 2023 elections, I've never seen us as divided, especially the youth. We knew how we were blocking each other on social media during 2023 elections, all because this one had a different political idea from mine and all that. Whereas, as at 2020, we were the most united
during the NSAS process.
We are extremely. Now, this question is on two sides. What do you think changed in the political space where ideologies is now at the back, and today is just politics of popularity? And what do you think happened to the populists in their own stuff, whereby 3 years ago they were the most united body? 3 years after, we are as divided as anything.
Nigerians can be anything. They can be anything.
It's simple. It's simple. Who has the most to gain? Who has the most to lose? Like we say, everybody is fighting for their pockets or for themselves. You know, this country, they will tell you that, do you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody? To get things done. And it's because of that, because you look at it at the long run, and from this person, and I know somebody that knows somebody that is linked to this person that we talk about. At the long run, if this person becomes something, probably we could get a link to get close to him. So all these things are the reason why the division will be there. And seriously, until we learn to be selfless as a nation, I don't think we're going anywhere. You see a lot of people shout patriotism, but what happened to selflessness? You were talking about the ideologies of the former leaders of the post-independence, the Azikowes, the Obafemi Awolowo, the Tafawa Balewa. You see all these people. You see all these people. Let's take Awolowo for example. Awolowo made it a point of duty that education is a bedrock of the Western region back then. And when we look at even most of these leaders, they benefited from this same free education back then. But right now, the current climb, the current set of leadership we have, even knowing that this is where they are coming from, have forgotten where they are coming from and just doing things without thinking of tomorrow. You see, I weep a lot when they start saying youths are the leaders of tomorrow. And I look at the youths.
Maybe tomorrow will never come.
Which I also fall under. Which they say we are the leaders of tomorrow.
When is tomorrow actually? We are old already. We have beards.
And we actually do we even possess the quality of leaders? It's the youth that you see in all social vices.
Not even the elders. And the jackpot syndrome too.
All the youths are living in Nigeria.
Everyone wants to live.
The youths that are not the youths, if you look at the people that are even the jackpot syndrome that we're talking about, the jackpot syndrome is taking the best of our minds.
Yeah.
A quick one, promise. Time is actually against us. I'd like to ask, how do you think Nigeria can actually bridge the gap between demanding for a good governance and actually ensuring that we have good governance?
True.
So the gap is simple. If you want good governance, we have to be good citizens ourselves.
It starts from us.
And from us. We have to be good citizens ourselves. And how are we supposed to be good citizens? We need to perform our civic duties. We need to perform our rights, and we need to know our rights and our obligations. A lot of Nigerians do not even know their rights.
Yeah.
A lot of Nigerians don't know their obligations to the nation. So we need to start educating ourselves from now before the next election, so that nobody will come and bamboozle us with
I will build you 7 bridges.
Feigned promises that are not there.
Empty promises.
And we need to be able to assess the state of the nation. The nation is dilapidated. Anybody that is going to come into governance will not do magic. There's no magic involved. It's a process. We should stop letting them feed on our emotions. Let's put our emotions together and also do right by ourselves and secure the generations that are even yet unborn.
Very well,
People that are going to be in governance are people that are deserving and not people that just come by chance.
Very well promised. Thank you very much.
Very well promised. Thanks so much. Thanks very much for this. We really appreciate it. I think it's high time we just break on this because our time is fast spent. Extremely fast spent. But thanks so much for being a part of this. Discussions like this is going to take. Yeah. Thanks so much, Promise. We really appreciate it.
If we start talking about
it's going to take a long time.
Time is not enough.
Thanks so much, Promise.
That's the issue. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Thank you.
But then it's high time we just, first, before we come back to give our conclusions on this, it's high time we first go on sports, where we'll, give you back some of the highlights of the weekend of the week sports too. So well, we're going to enjoy yourself and all that. I love sport. Glory.
I do too.
She's almost trying to love sport. I'm influencing her actually. But then after sports, we come back, we give our conclusions. Thanks so much, guys. I'll be right back.
Welcome back from sport. I believe you enjoyed sport as we did. Today I did enjoy sport and glory. So we discussed an issue very pressing, the socio-political decline. Who to blame? Is it the government or the people? And Promise, our guest, he didn't waste no time in telling us that the blame is apportioned to both the people and the government, and he made us to understand for us to have an economy that we like, an economy that is better, a good country, and the rest of the things, that it's not just on the government. We have to be good citizens, and we have to do right by the executives, the legislative, and the judiciary. We have to do right by them. We have to not be political apathy. We don't have to bring it into our mindset. We have to go out there, vote for right leaders, and he also enjoined our leaders to make our votes count, to do right by everybody. So this is actually a topic that everybody needs to listen to, because it concerns each and every one of us. So while you stay informed, please remember to be good citizens. My name is Glory Emmanuel.
My name is Ikhonede Joshua Odeji, like Glory actually said. Promise us to say the same thing. Remember to be good citizens, remember to be good leaders, actually. And I think it's high time Nigeria needs an ideology to actually run. And let me say this to all political leaders out there. First things first, to you people. Using money to buy loyalty is very temporary, honestly, and saying the Senate House and all that as a retirement home is not something that the country needs as we speak. If the country continues in this decline, actually, you are just creating a space for anarchy. And when anarchy comes, honestly, no one is going to be able to, escape such a thing. And to the citizens, actually, we need to be more educated about what the government is for us. And we need to be more woke and open to whatever any leader brings to us as a way of getting his ways through us. So if a leader is coming to you to promise you things that logically cannot come to being in the short term, please don't bother to vote. Educate yourself more about this. Know where to apportion your blame to. Nigeria is already structured to be successful if the citizens know where to channel their demands to us. So please, we need more education on our part. Else we can never be good citizens, neither can we be good leaders. Well, we'll keep having more discussions, engaging all of us on Daybreak Africa as time goes by. Till we meet next time, my name is Ikhonede Joshua Odeji. So meet us tomorrow, same place, same time, here on KAFTAN Television. For now, guys, bye.
Bye.